75 years ago, they fought and often died for a cause in which they believed, fighting fascism in a foreign land. The Spanish Civil War broke out in the 1930s when an elected left-wing government was overthrown by the army of General Franco. A stream of idealistically minded young British men and women volunteered as soldiers in the international brigades, formed in an unsuccessful attempt to defend the Spanish Republic. But the British government was neutral and regarded some of the volunteers as dangerous agitators. Today, for the first time, previously classified intelligence files have been placed online by the National Archives. They show that 4,000 Britons travelled to Spain and that then, as now, the movement of UK subjects who go to fight in foreign wars was of great interest to the security services. Joining us now is Richard Baxell, historian and trustee of the International Brigade Memorial Trust. I mean, these days, people are worried about jihadists who go off from wherever and go and fight in Afghanistan or whatever. But in those days, clearly the government was jolly concerned about these people. Why?
Well, in the main, because they were members of the Communist Party, and at that time that was seen by much of the establishment as the main threat to be concerned about. So MI5 were charged with keeping tabs on anybody really that was a communist. And once the Spanish Civil War broke out, obviously they were very concerned, because they were ostensibly being neutral, they were very concerned that these people might go to Spain and fight for the Republic.
Given the detail of some of the observations in these documents, there must have been quite a number of sleepers knocking around in these communist circles.
That's possible, although I'm not sure that many of the people who went to Spain would have been sleepers, because they would have been obviously communist, which would have made would have been a bit obvious who they were.
Well, where were they getting this information from then? Everything was sort of retrieved from here.
What, MI5?
Yeah.
Yes, these documents would have been compiled from various intelligence that they would have conducted over here, and it was bound to be stuff from Spain as well, and documents when they came back. So I
mean, the people who went were extraordinarily diverse. I mean, there was, you know, the guy that was married to Jessica Mitford,
Esmond Romilly.
Esmond Romilly. There was Jack Jones of the Transport and General Workers Union. I mean, they weren't all sort of upper crust, were they?
No, very much not. In fact, 90% of them were working class. They were trade unionists, leftists. About 2/3 were members of the communists, mainly urban working class men.
How did these old Etonians like George Orwell fit in then?
Well, he, of course, didn't join the International Brigades. He was rejected because he was seen as politically unreliable by the higher echelons of the Communist
Simply for
Party.
being an Etonian, or...?
Well, I think perhaps Harry Pollitt did take against him personally, but it was also, he was probably...
But he did fight for the anarchists, didn't he?
Well, he fought with the Poo militia from the Aragon Front, yes, that's right.
I mean, the tragedy about this is there's nobody alive now, presumably at all, who...
There are about 2 or 3 brigaders that are still alive. Who
might be able to go through these documents and say, my God, I never knew he'd gone.
Yes, and they'll no doubt be looking for information that the security services have on themselves, let alone their friends.
Well, thanks very much indeed for coming in. And of course, those revelations are available online, and you can go and have a look yourself.